Hare Krishna. Good. So, welcome all to this Sri Isopanisad session. We are discussing mantra number 4, and we've seen half of the purport of mantra 4. So, anything that you remember from our last class about mantra 4?
Mantra 4 tells us about the various qualities of Supreme Lord, that He is omnipresence, omnipotent, and omniscience. And
Very nice. So, omnipresence is the predominant property of the, or rather property or feature of the Lord that is discussed in this particular mantra number 4. Good, good, yeah. But why is this? Why do you think suddenly this particular property or this particular feature of the Lord is getting discussed? How is it in connection to something that we've discussed earlier on? What do you think?
that He, in spite of having these qualities, He's still a person. He has his He has his likes, dislikes, and He has feelings.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, that's one of the aspects. How does it connect to something that we have seen earlier on? Anybody else? Or whoever, yeah. Rashmi Mataji, you can also.
Sir,
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So in mantra number 3, it is said that uh, uh, karma affect uh, if we don't follow what happened, then karma affects, and hence they have to hence we have to come again. So that
Very
was
nice.
the mantra number 3. So in
Mhm.
mantra earlier we have discussed about Isha Vashram, where we are saying that everything belongs to Lord Krishna, and then uh, in mantra how it is getting connected, that I am saying, Prabhuji.
Mhm, mhm.
So first it was Ishavasyam principle, and then in how we can how we can awaken the attachment to Krishna. So that
Mhm,
is
mhm.
mentioned in the mantra too. Means what happens when you live with the Ishavasyam principle.
Very
So
nice.
the law
Yes.
of karma doesn't will not affect. Then mantra 3, karma affects them, hence they have to come again. Means living entity has to come again. So we have discussed about what living entity has to do. Now we now mantra 4 and 5 is describing about the qualities of Lord Krishna.
Very
So
nice. Exactly.
hence
Exactly. Yeah. So
it
the
is said.
Ishavasya principle is for saying that everything belongs to the Lord. Now, who is the Lord? Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's a natural question that might come in. And in order to explain that why we are doing all of the Isha, why we are following the Ishavasya principle for the Lord. Yeah, that is what is the important consideration here. So therefore, the Ishopanishad basically now tells us about who the Lord is.
His
Yeah, and what
position,
are the
Prabhuji.
properties,
Yeah.
features of the Lord. Sorry, Aruna Mataji, go ahead.
His position is also is described in verse 4 and 5. No.
Very nice. His position is described in verse 4 and 5. So, just like, where is that gone? Yeah. So, yeah. So, like, this is a good connecting point. Yeah. Practices for living entities. Now, practices we saw follow Ishavasya principle. Now, to make the practice more effective or to do, see, you need to have a little bit of, we are all jivas, right? We need to have a little bit of faith and conviction to do to follow certain things, right? Isn't it? So now to help us to execute our practices, we need to know why we are following that Ishavasya principle. We need to know, therefore, the knowledge of the Supreme Person. That's what mantras 4 and 5 are talking about, as to what the or who the Supreme Person is, what are his features, what are his qualities. And we've seen one very important quality about mantra number 4 is that he is omnipresent. He is everywhere, basically. Yeah. So that's what. Now, why do we need to know why he is everywhere? So that when we execute here, or when you go somewhere else and you execute your principles there, the Lord is present and everything belongs to him, isn't it? Yeah. So that's how the connection comes. Very nice, Arunamachi. Good. Any other point that we remember discussing in our when we did the collage?
Prabhuji, the first paragraph, it says that non-devotee tries to find a God. However,
Mhm.
they'll take a long time. So we have to become a devotee so that we can see the Lord. That collage where mind has shown, and in the mind the Lord Krishna was there in our
Very nice. Yes.
collage.
Yeah.
So, and also the analogy of speed of wind and mind. Uh, so,
Wind and the
uh,
mind. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it says that the speed of Lord Krishna is very high.
The
Uh,
speed of the mind is very high, but
is
Lord
very high.
Krishna is very far
Krishna
off.
is very
Yeah.
far of it.
So
Yeah.
even if he rides on the mind, he will still not be able to reach. But he is still near also. Huh? So that's the and in fact we will see that Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva principle in the next verse also about the Lord. But here we can see he's far as well as he's near. That is how. So obviously, if he's far as well as he's near, which means he's everywhere, isn't it? That could be another way to understand that he is not here, but he is here also, he is somewhere else also, which means he is faster than the mind. I'm thinking of, oh, Krishna is here in my house, and suddenly I'm thinking Krishna is in Vrindavana. Yeah, he's already there also, and he's already here also. Yeah, so imagine because he's faster than the mind, it looks as if he's everywhere. And of course, he is everywhere. So that's what is the understanding here. Krishna being far, yet he is near.
Also,
Very good,
Prabhuji,
very good.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
he diffused himself in this material world through his different energies, and
Hmm.
same time he's present in his abode also, which again clarifies the Chintya Tattva Bheda Bhed principle.
Very nice, very nice. And to understand that analogy of he is present in his abode and is diffused everywhere, what is given? Which
Fire.
one did you see?
Fire,
Fire and so what?
light,
Fire and something else. Huh?
Prabhuji, sun.
Sun is
sun,
there, okay, but what does Srila Prabhupada give?
Heat,
Sun is also
Prabhuji.
there, yeah.
Heat.
Heat, yes, heat and light. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so fire is diffused as heat and light. Yeah. So when fire is in one place, but still it diffuses the light and it diffuses the heat all over the place. And that's how. So imagine if there is a huge fire. Yeah. The light is seen all over the place. In fact, it lights up the whole place. Yeah. And also as you go near, it becomes very hot. Huh? So like the example of the sun also is there. Sun is still so far off, but we can feel the light and heat. Even this at this particular so many miles and miles away. So imagine how brilliant or how strong or as a fire the Lord must be to have diffused it across universes. Yeah, his presence basically. So that's one we saw in the collage that we prepared. What else did we do we remember?
So it's better to be devotee than non-devotee.
Very nice. Yes, it's better to be a devotee to be a non-devotee. That's another principle that we saw. Yeah, because of what?
Because, like as we discussed, mind, though it's really powerful,
Mm-hmm.
but it cannot reach Krishna. But a devotee can reach Krishna
Very
faster
nice. We
than.
need something more subtler than the mind. Yeah. So if you see even the coverings of the soul has 8 coverings. We all know that. Yeah. The Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kham, and Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. And imagine it goes from being gross to subtle. Isn't it? So gross, water is less gross, fire is lesser. It becomes more and more and more subtle and subtle. So imagine the mind is so subtle, and more subtler than the mind is the soul, is the spirit soul. We are more subtler than the mind. And imagine how much more subtler the Lord must be, yeah, to be so when we have to really go towards or want to be in presence of the Lord or want the Lord to follow the real Ishavasya principle, we also have to remove all these coverings away. So ego has to go, everything has to go, all your subtle material coverings has to go away so that you can feel the presence. You can go nearer to God. What is what is Ishopanishad? The Upanishad which takes us nearer to Isha. Upanishad means to go near. And Isha is, of course, the Lord. So to go nearer. So if you want to go nearer to the Lord, you have to remove all our coverings. And who can do that? Only a devotee can do that, because the devotional aspect is so subtle that it takes the jiva from his current position to be nearer to the Lord. Okay, yeah. So that's other thing that we saw. What else?
Baji, in second paragraph, we have discussed about the potencies of the God, where internal, marginal, and external potencies. So marginal is divided into two: demigod and the living entities. So demigods are the manager of the material world. However, if they have to take the darshan of Lord Krishna, they have to go to Brahmaji, and then only they can he will take them or approach them to the God. And uh, external potency uh, uh, is the material world, where Lord Krishna has came and sung the Bhagavad Gita for us. And
Very
the
nice.
third
Yeah.
one is internal potency.
So there's an external potency, internal potency, external energy of Krishna, and we are all part of the internal energy of Krishna, but we are marginal. Good, good.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the other aspect that we saw. And because we are marginal, we have a tendency to fall on this side or fall on this side. So that's the problem that we all have, that we have the tendency to fall on one place or the other. Yeah. And therefore, the jiva gets lost in the material world because he is falling. So there are these, let's quickly also look at 1 minute, give me a minute. I will present my screen. We saw the two beautiful references to Brahma Samhita in the purports. Yeah, 5.37 and this one, sorry, 5.37 and 5.34, which both talk of the omnipresence of the Lord. One is how the Lord is, aspired to be achieved by yogis, yeah, or by jnanis, either through Brahman or through the Paramatma, to the Lord as the Paramatma. That's one part, which is what the right thing to do is to basically try to seek out the Lord in one way or the other. So there are different people who take different positions and different processes, and that's what here the Lord Brahma is talking of, how the jnanis and the karmis or the yogis, they are trying to find the Lord. Yeah. And here in 37 talks about that same particular point which we discussed. Very, very nice Brahma Samhita verse. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibha vithabhihi tabhirya eva nija rupa taya kalabhihi golok eva nivasatya khilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Very beautiful verse which talks about how the Lord is residing in Goloka. So if he's residing there, still how is he present here everywhere? That's how we understand. So the real position of the Lord as seen by Brahma is he is sitting in Goloka. And he is still present in all over the place, and he is extending his qualities, his presence all over. Yeah. So those two verses also we saw. So let's now progress further on mantra number 4 in this particular understanding of which we saw in the last class also, how the Lord is a person. So if we see this particular paragraph, which we also saw in the last class, that one is that there are qualities of the Lord which are absolutely personal. Because the Lord is a person, there would be no need to mention details in support of his personal features. So we saw like Brahma Samhita mentioning personal feature. Lord is in that particular realm, and he's doing all of these relationship. He is doing all of these activities. All of these are mentioned, which are what personal features. When we talk about a person, we say, oh, he did this with me, and I talked that with him, and this is how, isn't it? You always talk about a person's qualities, person's actions, and person's how that person's behavior is, isn't it? That's the typical thing that we talk of when we talk about any other person. Same thing, the Lord is also exhibiting. Yeah, and because the Lord is exhibiting all of these similar qualities, Srila Prabhupada makes this very important point that the Lord is a person, which means what? What does it mean to be a person? It means we can establish a relationship with the Lord. Yeah, that is the clear understanding that a relationship with the Lord has to be established so that we can come out of this particular material. Let's look at now the next paragraph. Very nice paragraph again about how devotional service is an important aspect. So let's read this and then meditate on this one. Yeah, Rashmi Mataji can read this one. Sorry,
Right.
before that, any other questions or or comments to what we've seen earlier on?
Very nice example of Gajendra Moksha prayer. That Lord, how swiftly he comes to rescue his
Very
devotees.
nice.
He just starts his prayer lifting the lotus when he's danger, and how Lord, although he's in his abode planet
Comes running.
enjoying, he just comes more swifter.
Very nice.
So,
And in many places, right? So even Prahlad, we see how the Lord appears, even in the pillar. Yeah. And so many fantastic omnipresence aspects of the Lord that we've seen. Very nice. Yes.
Prabhuji, you said you have described the fifth paragraph. No, Prabhuji, can you please repeat it again? Sorry,
Fifth
Prabhuji.
paragraph, which one? This fourth one.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
fourth
so
is completed. What fifth paragraph is saying? You have described in one line, no, Prabhuji. I missed it.
No. This one we were talking about how the fourth mantra talks about the Lord as a person. So when you see what does the fourth mantra talk of? The fourth mantra talks about that he's fixed in his abode, which means he has an address. Now, obviously, a person has an address, right? Isn't it? And therefore, that's one aspect, that the Lord is fixed in his abode. But still, he is, and that address is very far away. Because he is swifter than the mind. The personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running, which means the Lord is, of course, trying to be all over the place to help his devotees. Because he's swifter than the mind, it looks as if the Lord is everywhere. And that's the omnipresence aspect of the Lord. Powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply air and rain. So again, he's like a controller here. And he's controlling those who are also controlling. He's a controller of the controllers. And he surpasses all in excellence. So obviously there are some qualities of people, and Lord is better than all of them. Isn't it? So he surpasses all means every one of us in excellence. That is how he's super excellent. He's good. He is ultimate in everything. That's how the personality or conception is from that particular. And now because he has all of these kind of features, Srila Prabhupada makes this tells us that because of this personal features, he is a person. That's how he establishes that the ultimate truth is a person. Because there are many lines of thought in which, there are this Mayavadi philosophies or Buddhist philosophies, which say that the Lord is impersonal. He doesn't have a form. He doesn't have. So they are correct in a way, because the Lord does not have a material form. Yeah, he has a spiritual form. Yeah, so he has not. He is, when you say he is nirguni, means he is not part of the three gunas. But he is beyond. The nirguni typically also. You might translate that as something which does not have any guna, yeah, which means any feature, which means he is featureless, isn't it? Featureless means you cannot have a form. And that's how the conclusion, people, when they read the Upanishads and it describes it as nirguni, it looks as if the form of the Lord is totally impersonal, which means he's like light or he's energy. Many people think that. Whereas Srila Prabhupada is clearly now establishing that if he has no form or he is energy, then how can he have these personal features? And that's the argument Srila Prabhupada makes. And therefore, he says that the ultimate truth is ultimately an absolute person. That's the point Srila Prabhupada makes. And to help, there are so many personal features described. If you go to the next shloka, there also he says he walks and he does not walk. He is near and he is yet far away. So like that. So there are so many personal aspects getting described here. Yeah, Indu Mataji had a point. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, these personal features represents, I mean, exactly what?
Means as a person, right? He gets angry, he likes it, he becomes happy, he loves. This is personal, right? So impersonal is, say, for example, this chair is sitting next to me. Can I have a relationship with the chair? It's impersonal, right? I cannot have any relationship with the chair. Will the chair love me back?
Krishna also the same things, physical as well as mental behavior.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Therefore, he is a person, right? That's what the supreme absolute truth as a person. People see many times the understanding is, oh, the Lord is impersonal and he takes a personal form and comes as Krishna. Originally, he is not impersonal. That's what they say. Here, Srila Prabhupada said, no, originally he's a person and he comes as a person also. But in both of these cases, he does not have a material form. He has a spiritual form. Yeah, and in that spiritual form, he does not behave like, like something which is not in a personal manner. Everything is personal for the Lord. He likes, he dislikes. When you praise him, he likes it. Yeah, when we give galis to the Lord, he does not like it. Like that. Yeah, so
Yes.
that's because he's a person, right? Like we are all persons. Somebody praises us, we also like it. So same way. So as a person, that's what it means to be person. To be a person or have to have personal features.
So the only difference is Lord is having all the forms, I mean, mental as well as physical in Divya Chetna, and we are not.
Correct.
This is the only
He's not in the
difference.
material modes of nature, right? Three modes of nature does not act on him. So
Okay.
Prakriti, he is not part of the Prakriti yet. He's a creator of Prakriti, like the government. And the government creates the laws and therefore is present. They are present everywhere. But the government, is it like, it's like we can say government is impersonal, right? There is nothing there. But yes, there is a person who is executing the laws, who is doing all of those particular things. The king is there, right? So like that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so let's now look at the next paragraph.
Prabhuji, can I just add something that Mataji
Yeah,
was
go ahead,
saying? Something about that the difference between God and us is only this much. I would say, I would like to add that qualitatively, quantitatively also, right?
Quantitative difference also is
Quantitatively, we are similar, but qualitatively, we are very, 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 very far apart.
Qualitatively we are same, but quantitatively we are.
Sorry. Quantitatively, we are very,
Correct.
very far apart.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very nice. So yeah, so that's the other aspect also, which actually brings us also to this point of why the relationship is kind of established, right? Because we are part and parcels, and quantitatively we are very minuscule. We ideally do not have any identity. When we merge or when we get connected to the whole, then we get an identity. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example in the Bhagavad Gita about imagine there's a huge machine, and on that huge machine there is a small nut which is holding something. Now that nut is removed and thrown away. Does the nut have any value? As long as it is part of the machine, it has a function, it has a feature, it has a purpose, isn't it? As long as it's connected to the machine. As long as not that, it's just thrown away. It has value. It's not even 1 dirham value. You kind of just throw away the nut and you just bring another and you probably put it there. So when that part and parcel, it's a part and parcel of the machine. When it is connected, it has value. When it is not connected, it does not have value. How do we connect to the Lord? Through the Ishavasya principle, isn't it? Why? Because we know everything belongs to the Lord. Whatever I'm doing now ultimately is for the Lord's. When we do it with that consciousness and with that knowledge, we get connected to the Lord. That's how the nut gets its value. We are all nuts in that sense. Yeah. And when we get connected to the Lord, then we become the part and parcel becomes part of the whole. So quantitatively we are small, qualitatively we are similar to the Lord, basically. Okay, very good. Any other comment? Okay, if not, let's progress on the mantra number 4, other understanding. Let's read this particular part. Rashmi Mataji can read.
Hare Krishna. Although the individual parts and parcel of the Lord's potencies have all the symptoms of the Lord Himself, they have limited spheres of activity and are therefore all limited. The parts and parcel are never equal to the whole, therefore, they cannot appreciate the Lord's full potency. Under the influence of material nature, foolish and ignorant living beings who are but parts and parcel of the Lord try to conjecture about the Lord's transcendental position. Shri Isha Upanishad warns of the futility of trying to establish the identity of the Lord through mental speculation. One should try to learn of the transcendence from the Lord Himself, the supreme source of the Vedas, for the Lord alone has full knowledge of the transcendence.
So the transcendence here means to transcend. We are all in the material world, therefore we are controlled by the 3 modes of nature. Sattva, Tamo or Rajoguna, and a combination of Sattva, Tamo and Rajo is actually always acting on us. And because of this, what we are getting this material body, we are getting faculties which are part of this material nature and are not very perfect, which we've seen established earlier on itself in the Isopanisad, that we have imperfect senses. So because of that, we are not able to comprehend the real nature of the Lord. Yeah. And therefore, what we have to do, we have to actually come out of this 3 modes, which is we have to transcend the 3 modes. Yeah. And we basically then can understand. So here, that's what the point also comes in. As to the part and parcels are never equal to the whole, therefore they cannot appreciate the Lord's full potency. Yeah. So like we were just discussing, the qualitatively we are similar to the Lord. Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda, but we've got covered by the 3 modes of material nature. Only when we come out of the 3 modes of material nature can we get to know the Lord. How do you get out of 3 modes of material 3 modes of material nature? By acting on the Ishavasya principle. Why? Because when we are connected to the Lord, we get the qualities of the Lord. The example given is that of an iron rod. When the iron rod is the two examples basically. The iron rod, when it is put in fire, it becomes fire. Right? Almost, if you've seen an iron rod come out of the fire, it's like almost fire. Even if you touch it anywhere, it will just burn the whole thing, isn't it? So even though it's iron rod, but it has become fire. Why? Because of connection to the fire. The other example is again with an iron rod when it's connected to a magnet, isn't it? It becomes magnet itself. We've all probably experimented as children. When an iron rod is connected to the magnet, the iron rod also becomes like a magnet. You can then attract iron filings and other things. But as soon as the magnet is taken away, the iron rod behaves like a magnet for some time, then it also loses its magnetic effect, isn't it? Same way, when we are connected to the Lord, we become like the Lord. We get all of those qualities of the Lord in the sense that we become also transcendental, which means we go beyond the 3 modes of material nature. And therefore, the Ishavasya principle becomes very important. Why is this when we look at this particular position, practices for living entities? Why are we practicing the Ishavasya principle? Because we want to be connected to the Lord. When we are connected to the Lord, can the part and parcel be part of the entire whole? And therefore, he will learn. How to get to know this particular position? When we learn from the Vedas. What is the Vedas telling, or what is the Bhagavad Gita telling? To act basically on the Ishavasya principle, to always ensure that we are doing everything for the Lord. do it for the Lord's pleasure, we say, right? So when we do all of these particular things, automatically, we also become as similar to Lord, which is transcendental. And therefore, we understand the Lord, therefore, we can be fully connected to the Lord. Sambandha gets established basically in that sense. Okay, so let's see further. What does it say? Yeah, Aditya Prabhuji can read.
Hare Krishna. Every part and parcel of the complete whole is endowed with some particular energy to act according to the Lord's will. When the part and parcel living entity forgets his particular activities under the Lord's will, he is considered to be in Maya, illusion.
Yeah,
Thus,
hold on. So this is the point also about how the nut, when the nut gets removed from the machine and it's kept somewhere else, then what is, it's not acting according to its original functional purpose, isn't it? It's not in its original constitutional position. It is forgetting its particular activity. What was a particular activity? To probably hold on to some particular feature. But in that machine, as part of that entire machine, he is not doing that. Nut is not doing any job. Therefore, what has happened? It has become valueless. It is considered to be in Maya when that particular jiva is not acting according to the Lord's will. Yeah, then he is in Maya. Okay, go ahead.
thus, from the very beginning, Sri Isopanisad wants us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own. Because he is part and parcel of the Lord, he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. When a person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to the association with Maya, the external energy.
So now the jiva is marginal energy. What has it done? It has fallen on this side and got associated with the three modes of material nature, or with Prakriti, or with Maya. Yeah. And because of that association, what has happened? It has forgotten what its original constitutional position is. What is the original constitutional position of the soul? To be a part and parcel of Krishna and to be a servant of Krishna. Yeah, so that's one very important consideration which we have forgotten. And because we have forgotten that, what happens? We are, our consciousness has got polluted. We are thinking of me and mine. We saw discussed earlier also how this aham mameti, me and mine principle, everything I want to do for myself or my extended bodies. And the extended bodies could be my nation, my community, my relatives, my family. Yeah, all the my, all of that particular association, and we do it with for all of these people. Problem is we are not doing it for the Lord's initiative. The individual soul, it's here says that from the very beginning, Ishwar wants us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. Where does it say this? Which loka? Which mantra?
Mantra one, right?
No, is it mantra one? Okay. Okay, somebody else says mantra one, everybody agrees?
It's the quota, something we have to use.
Very nice.
What
Yeah.
is
So
designated for us by the Lord.
very nice. Very nice.
Lord
Yes.
is
So you
a
agree. You're
proprietor of
agreeing to
everything.
Aditya Prabhuji, that means. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Aruna Mataji had a point? No? So everybody agrees. Yes. So it's mantra one where it talks about clearly the quota part. So if we just quickly look at mantra one. Yeah, what does it say? One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well. So things here could mean any, it could be physical, material, it could be relationships, it could be whatever is as part of your quota, only that you accept. If it does not come to you, no problem. The Lord has not deigned it for me, it does not belong to me. Yeah. So that's the mantra that very beginning there, Srila Prabhupada makes that point. In the very beginning, it says we have to be careful about what is designated for us, what actions have been designated. So now, how do I know what is the action designated for us? How do you know that whatever you're doing today is what is designated for you by the Lord? How can we understand?
Prabhuji, by understanding the Shastras and the
Okay, so using it, okay, very good. Taking advice from the Shastras, one way. Yes. So what does Shastra say? That today, whatever we are doing, are we doing as per Isopanisad principles?
We should work according to the Varnashram system.
Very nice. So that's what the Shastra says. Be act on Varnashram, which means what? Based on your Varna, based on your Ashrama, execute those duties which are there. Isn't it?
yeah, we
Very
accept
nice.
those
So,
responsibilities.
yeah, what else? Yeah, go ahead.
Acceptance of the responsibilities that are given to us.
Exactly. Very nice. Very nice. So we accept, we're saying, okay, yes, the Lord has given me this particular Varna and Ashrama. This Varna and this Ashrama, these are my duties. I have to, whatever, take care of the family. I have to work for somebody else. As a Shudra, I am working for a Vaishya. And I am doing tak, tak, tak. These are my set of duties. And of course, the overarching principle also is there, the Swadharma. So the Varnashram Dharma has to be followed because the body is there. And the Shastras also mention about the Swadharma, the duty of the soul. What is the duty of the soul? To be a servant of Krishna. So whatever activities I'm doing as part of my Varnashrama, I offer those result of those activities to the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So when I'm in this particular position, I'm doing what? Buddhi Yoga. Lord Krishna describes that again in the second chapter. The concept of Buddhi Yoga, where the Varnashrama is dovetailed with your Swadharma. When you dovetail your Varnashrama and Swadharma, you are acting with intelligence. That's what here Srila Prabhupada also mentions. When a person properly utilizes his initiative, so now, okay, I have this body, I have this particular set of intelligence, I have this all of these particular features, these qualities. Now I have to do something. So when I'm doing something or my active nature is there, how do I do it? I do it with intelligence. What kind of intelligence? Spiritual intelligence. Now, Buddhi Yoga, therefore, is very important is an important consideration because every jiva is active. It will want to do something or the other always. How to do whatever it wants to do in an active in a manner with intelligence. If I do this, oh, I might get karma. Yeah. So when we saw the karma cycle, right? So what should I do? I should not do it in this manner. I'm utilizing my intelligence. And how is the intelligence given feed from the understanding that everything is the Lord's potency. Yeah. Ishavasya principle. Yeah, so now you are applying your intelligence, you are applying your human quality. What is the human quality? Human quality is of higher intelligence, higher consciousness, not like animals. If you do not use this particular quality of higher intelligence, higher consciousness, then we become animals. Then we are Dvipad Pashu, biological animals. But what are we doing? We are applying with intelligence, the Buddhi Yoga. My Varnashrama duties and my Swadharma duties, I am dovetailing and therefore I am getting a karma. How do I am getting akarma? Because I am following the Ishavasya principle. Yeah, so that is how this particular process is. What happens when we do that? He revives his original consciousness. What was the original consciousness? Krishna consciousness. Now we are material. We are now in material consciousness in the sense that I'm trying to, oh, where will I get my next set of sense gratification? Where will I enjoy this? Where will I where will I which sense I'm going to trying to satisfy? Oh, I'm hungry now, I have to eat food. Yeah. So all of this, what are we trying to do? We are in material consciousness. We how do we revive this original consciousness? When we follow the Ishavasya principle, when we follow this particular process through what is mentioned in the Shastras. So why did we lose our original consciousness? Because of association with Maya, the external. Like we said, we are marginal. So there is a tendency for us to fall on the other side. So when all of these particular processes are followed, the key process of the Ishavasya principle, then automatically we come back to our original position. That's what we are trying. When we say practices for living entities, what are the practices for living entities for? So that we can go nearer to God. Isopanisad. We become, we go as closer to God so that we can basically come out of this current cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. Okay. So let's look at the last paragraph of this mantra. And quickly just also look at the first paragraph of the next mantra, so that then we can close the class. Let's look at this one. Yeah, Aruna Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna. All power is obtained from the Lord. Therefore, each particular power must be utilized to execute the will of the Lord and not otherwise. The Lord can be known by one who has adopted such a submissive service attitude. Perfect knowledge means knowing the Lord in his all features, knowing his potencies, and knowing how these potencies work by his will. These matters are described by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishad.
So now when we look at Ishavasya principle, that everything belongs to the Lord, then which means what? Everything comes from the Lord, even the power comes from the Lord. So that's what here, therefore the principle, the straightforward understanding is all power is obtained from the Lord. Whatever we think, whatever we execute, whatever money we have, whatever strength we have, beauty, all of those comes from what? Comes from the Lord, because he is the owner of everything. If he's owner of everything, then what we should do logically, whatever the owner wants, we have to do that, isn't it? We've derived all of these power. All of these powers have to be utilized to execute the will of the Lord. Yeah. And one of the most important, so how do I know what is the will of the Lord? Okay, I want to, yes, I'm convinced about Isopanisad. I want to execute the will of the Lord. How will I know what the will of the Lord is? Again. Or what do you think is the will of the Lord?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. God's will is basically we need to go back to his kingdom. I mean, go back to Godhead. I mean, that's the main thing, that we have
Very
been,
nice.
apart from him because of our own will, because to fulfill our own desires. So he wants us to come back.
He wants us to come back. Very nice, very nice. So that's a clear understanding that we have again from our Shastras, that what is the Lord wanting to do? The Lord is wanting for us to come back. That's his will. Okay, very good. That's one part. Aditya Prabhuji is adding something more. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, it is in similar lines. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyazimam namaskuru. So he wants us to do certain things, like always remember him,
Very
do
nice.
namaskar to him. So we should follow his instructions.
Very nice, very nice. Again, both of these answers refer to what? The Lord's personal feature. The Lord is missing us. He wants us back, isn't it? Now, who misses? When a person is there, person will only miss, right? When our friend or our son or daughter is away, then what do? We miss them, isn't it? And why? What is that missing? It's a quality, it's a personal quality, right? Again, so the Lord's will is what? The Lord's will is based on his personal quality, that he is missing all of his jivas and he wants them back. And okay, you're not wanting to come back. At least what do you do? Think of me. Isn't that's what we say? Okay, you're far, and then somebody calls and says, "Oh, I was thinking of you." Oh, you feel so happy. Wow, he's thinking of me, isn't it? So when the Lord does that, when he says "Man mana bhava mad bhakto," like Prabhuji is mentioning, the Lord is again displaying his principle of a person, or the personal aspect is getting displayed here, isn't it? So again, the will of the Lord, therefore, is what? To all of us to go back or to think of him. Now, therefore, by this corollary, what could be all of our, what should be our execution? What should be our main task, therefore?
Prabhuji, here we can connect that Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam.
Okay, that's the Abhideya. That's the Abhideya.
Okay.
We are talking about the Prayojan verse. Basically, what will happen when we follow the will of the Lord? The Lord will be very happy, and therefore the Lord wants us to that. How to do that is Sarva Dharman Parityaja. That's the how part. We are okay. We'll come to the how part. But sorry, what was my original earlier question? So what should we be doing, therefore, to execute the will of the Lord?
Would you to follow the Ishavasya principle?
Yes, that's one. What
and
else?
Understand.
Yes, and understand.
Dovetail all the activities.
Dovetail activities. Yes, very good. Yes, Geeta Mataji.
Serving him.
Serving him. Okay, what else? Something
Focus
very
on
important
him
that we are
completely,
missing.
Prabhuji.
Keep Krishna in center and do it.
No, hold on. One at a time. Yes, Smriti Mataji.
Focus on Krishna, that's our goal.
Focus on Krishna. Okay, still something more.
faith, having faith on Krishna.
Serving and with faith, very good. Having faith in Krishna, something more.
Association.
Association, okay,
loving
we are getting
devotional service.
Chanting, chanting his
Loving
name.
Krishna.
Sorry,
Loving
yeah,
devotional
Geeta
service.
Mataji, one at a time. Geeta Mataji, go ahead. Yeah.
Loving devotional service.
Loving devotional service, okay, that's the same thing. Thinking of the Lord, something more.
Keep Krishna in center and do it everything.
And do everything, okay, something more important, which Srila Prabhupada
Authority,
wants us to do.
Krishna's authority. Krishna's authority.
To follow
we
the
need to-
instructions of the Guru,
To
I mean,
surrender.
association of Guru,
Guru
follow
and
the
Associate.
Shishya Parampara.
Very nice, all good answers, but something more to which will be directly in Krishna's will. What will Krishna like the most?
Prabhuji,
Prema
for the overarching principle, always think of him and
Always
never
think, okay, but he mentions, okay, I'll give you a hint. He mentions in 18.68 and 69. Bhagavad Gita
To
18.
preach his message.
Very nice. Preach. He says, what is the most dearest to him? Who is the most dearest to him? One who explains the science of God to everybody. So therefore, for what we have to do, we have to ensure that every action of ours is a preaching moment. Because what are we trying to do? We are trying to execute the will of the Lord. Just like we all agreed, right? We all agreed that the Lord wants us all back, isn't it? And that's what he's trying to, get us all back here. Okay, he's trying to get all. How can we help him? We can help him by getting all other jivas also back to him, right? Isn't it? How to do that? By preaching, isn't it? By telling everybody about Bhagavad Gita, by telling everybody about who the Lord is and all of these particular things, isn't it? Yeah, everybody agrees to this. How to utilize our power to execute the will of God. Yeah, so that becomes a very, very, very important principle. Even Srila Prabhupada makes that point. Preaching is the essence. He says he utilizes his four aphorisms. Preaching is the essence. What else does he say? Anybody remembers? Four things that Srila Prabhupada talks of.
Books are the basis.
Preaching is the essence. Books are the basis.
Utility is the principle.
Very nice. Utility is the principle. Fourth.
Prabhuji, simple living, high thinking.
No, not simple living. I think something more is there. Even I forgot. Books are the basis. Utility is the principle. Preaching is the essence.
Purity is the force.
Purity is the force. Very nice. Purity is the force. So these four aphorisms Srila Prabhupada emphasized. And what does he talks about? Why are all of these things? They're all other three or also for preaching is the essence. How will preaching becomes the essence? Because the books are the base. So books becomes an important method of preaching. Yeah. Utility is a principle. Utilize everything for Lord Krishna's preaching purposes. Purity is the force. Why is purity required? Because when you are pure, your message is very much forceful, isn't it? You can basically. So again, the point is everything dovetails towards preaching. Why does everything dovetail towards preaching? Because the Lord likes it very much. When we are, and he says it's not only that we have arrived it through some particular, but Lord himself says it in the Bhagavad Gita. So if you remember 18.69 that was there, let's look at the two beautiful verses. Yeah, so interestingly, the chapter is also called Perfection of Renunciation. So when are we perfect in renunciation? Also one way, yeah. So let's look at these two. Aditya Prabhuji, read this one.
For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear? Sorry.
Yes, no servant in the world more dear to me. Who is this servant? The one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees. Yeah. So that's how we basically ensure that we are executing what the Lord is, how all our power. Therefore, what is the power? All that we have got from Lord Krishna, what have we to use it for? We have to use it for, of course, our own going back is important, but also we have to take all our near and dear ones, back home, back to Godhead. That's where this becomes important. So through our actions, So as mothers, we all cook food, we all, offer it to Lord, and then we give it to all our family members. What are we doing? We are making them all the more purified. We are executing the devotional service, the will of the Lord, isn't it? Through our schedule. When we go to office, you work, some of the money that comes, you utilize it for various preaching purposes, for donations, for temple service, for all of these, for maintaining your own home. Isn't it? Your own home is a temple, right? So all of that. So what are we doing again? We are utilizing our entire will that, or the power that the Lord has given us to execute the will of the Lord. And when we do it with full consciousness of that, I am doing this because of this particular reason. I want to preach more. I want to get my family members into Krishna consciousness. I want to get my friends into Krishna consciousness. I want all of these fantastic other people also to come to Krishna consciousness. What happens? You come to know God. Srila Prabhupada makes that sentence that when we do all of these things, he says we come to know God. The Lord can be known by one who has adopted such a submissive attitude. What is a submissive attitude? That I am trying to preach the message of God everywhere. That is the most humble thing that you can ever do. Yeah. So, which is to preach the service, because it is a very humbling experience when you go out and talk to people about this. The way they fatkarify you, bhag idhar se kinds, they tell, or they don't want to, but you still persist. You discuss in one way or the other. Devotees are intelligent, right? And one way or the other, they try to bring in Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshad. Why? Because their mind is always in Krishna. So one way or the other, they basically try to get Krishna into each of this, and that is the most humbling service that can ever happen. That's what is the point. Why? Because of this submissive service attitude, we really come to know the Lord. Actually, if you see, Srila Prabhupada refers to 10.2 here. Let's look at 10.2. And the continuation of 10.2, everybody knows here that nobody knows all of these particular the Lord but if you see, go further in the 10th chapter itself, Lord Krishna says, how do you get to know me? Through devotional service, isn't it? So from the 10th chapter itself, we come to know that the Lord comes in the heart, gives knowledge, jnana deepena bhasvata, all of that. So all of that comes. Why? It comes because we are humbly submitting to the Lord's will. What is the Lord's will? To get back all the jivas back home, back to Godhead. Of course, we also have to go, but we also get all the other people back home, back to Godhead. When we do that, we are executing the Lord's will. We are utilizing everything that we have for the Lord's will. What will happen because of such a thing? We will come to know God. Ishavasya principle. What is Isha? What is Ishopanishad? To take us nearer to God, isn't it? So therefore, what does perfection therefore mean? Perfection means to know the Lord in all his features, potencies, how it works. So the omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. All of these are various features of the Lord that slowly we will come to realize as we do more and more devotional service, as we complete our set of duties. For what? For the pleasure of the Lord. Yeah, Indu Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I am having two questions regarding this. First one is that if suppose one is doing his or her sadhana very seriously, doing japa, seva, so he is not eligible to going back to Godhead. I mean, only the preachers.
I didn't understand. Yeah, he is eligible to go
I mean,
back home.
if one is bhajna,
Because he's not preaching.
there
He's
are two
preaching. No.
categories.
And hold on. If you're sitting in one place nicely doing your sadhana, setting an example, there are people who are looking at you, right? Your daughter is looking, your son is looking, your father, mother is looking, and they're saying, wow, so nice thing. You are preaching just by doing your sadhana perfectly. You are preaching actually. Preaching doesn't mean talking only. Please, let's not be under the impression that talking only means preaching. No. Your execution of your own sadhana is the best preaching that you can ever do. Yeah,
Okay.
people should look at, they should, oh, wow, what stage she has. Wow, so much purity is there. What are you doing? How are you getting this so much glow? Huh? Typical, that's a typical womanly question. That, oh, you're having which foundation you're applying or whatever. So that glow should come, that automatically people should ask you, what you should say, no, I chant every day in the morning. That's my meditation, and that's why this glow comes. That's it. You've done preaching. How? Just by executing your sadhana. Yeah. So preaching does not only mean, just talking. Preaching also means you're doing your own japa, setting an example for others, eating only prasad. Eating only prasad is also preaching. Why? Because when you're sitting, for example, in 4 people and you don't eat any of their other food, normal question that comes, why are you not taking my food? Fantastic opening for you, isn't it? What are you doing? You're eating your own food. You're not touching anybody else's food, because you don't know what is the consciousness, blah blah, all of that particular thing. So you are, again, just by eating your own food, you are preaching also, because normally that's what will come to know. Or even by reading books. When we read Srila Prabhupada's book, that is also preaching. Why? Because you get to know that knowledge, and because of the knowledge you change your behavior. When a change of behavior happens, people see around you, and then they come to know, oh, what is this? Why is this happening? Preaching. That is preaching. Yeah, isn't it? So again, just by doing our own sadhana perfectly, best preaching method. Yeah, sorry.
So instead of saying hello, hi to other
You say Hare
person, if
Krishna.
we are saying Hare Krishna, then that is also come under preaching.
Exactly. That is also preaching. Yeah.
I mean, small
And not only Hare
part
Krishna.
can.
Yeah, in this part, in the Middle East, we say Salam Alaikum. Nothing bad, perfect. Salam Alaikum is may Allah be with you. Amazing. What a fantastic, greeting. So yeah, Hare Krishna, we can say whichever. Just remember the Lord in everything. That becomes preaching also.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I am always confused with these points. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Fantastic. So that's how we get to closer to the Lord. That's how we get to understand Isopanisad. That's how we get to by following the Ishavasya principle. That's what one of the aspects here in mantra number 4 is the omnipresence of the Lord. Yeah. The omnipresence, the Lord is fixed in his abode, but still he is everywhere. That's one of the understandings of the Lord for us to comprehend in this. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly, just at least let's get introduced to mantra number 5, and then we can close. We're already late. But let's quickly do that. Yeah, maybe this one we can read. Yeah, Geeta Mataji can read this one.
तदेजति तन्नैजति तद्दुरे tad. Actually, Prabhuji, I'm not able to read
You cannot
clearly.
read. Somebody else, maybe Smriti Mataji can read this.
Prabhuji. Tad ejati tannajati tad dure tadvantike tad antar asya sarvasya tad u sarvasya sabhayata.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, translation.
The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything.
So now 3 more additional qualities of the Lord, or features of the Lord. Now that is, he walks and he does not walk. Interesting. Now, how can this happen? He is walking also, and he says not walking also. He is far away, but he is near as well. That's how the mantra goes. And he says he is inside everything, yet and he's also outside of everything. Now, how is that possible? Isn't it? How somebody can be inside and somebody can be out. Somebody is near and somebody can is far. Somebody is walking also and somebody is not walking also. So this sounds very illogical. It sounds very magical also. Many times magical things are illogical also, isn't it? So you can look at it from a magical perspective, you can look at it from a very illogical perspective. And you can just by this particular verse, you can discard the whole, say, what is this talking of? I don't understand, is one thing. And maybe that could be one of the checks. Those who do not believe in the Shastras, the Shastras put in certain kind of absurdities that people who have no faith, they basically, go away from that. That's one probably understanding. But it is very illogical that somebody can walk and also not walk. Yeah. Or somebody who's far is also very near. Somebody who is within everything is, but the Lord is like that. Yeah? That is the amazing feature of the Lord. This is now his omnipotence. His potency. What is his potency? He is like this. He is previously we saw he's omnipresent. Now we will see his omnipotence. Different potencies of the Lord, how he is in living in this fantastic contradiction. So with that, let's do manan on this particular feature of the Lord, and let us close the session today. We will discuss this further in our next session. Hare Krishna. So any other questions or thoughts in relation to mantra 4 or previous mantras or the invocation or the introduction?
He surpasses all others in running. So what exactly others, and why it means why the term running is explained here?
Yeah, running as in because of the Lord's presence, right? So the Lord, now I'm thinking the Lord here is in my home. He's sitting in this deity form here. And suddenly my mind goes somewhere else. And the Lord is present there also, which means the Lord was here, is present there also. So in a way, his presence everywhere is kind of depicted in this particular aspect of running. The mind is running. The mind is running from one place to other, but the Lord is faster than the mind. And that's what here it says, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind. How is the swiftness of the mind kind of depicted? It's depicted that he can overcome all others by running. So running, we might only think of physical running, but the mind runs also at various at various speeds. So therefore, that's how the mind running, and the Lord is still present there also, which means the Lord is present everywhere through this omnipresence feature. That's why the running aspect is mentioned, because the mind runs everywhere. Yeah, that's what I think. Anybody else had a comment on this?
This is the supremacy of the Lord, right?
Exactly. He is super excellent in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. He surpasses all in all excellence.
It means no one is equal to him, no one is above him.
Correct.
It's like that.
And he also makes that statement in Bhagavad Gita also, right? 7th chapter. What does he say? Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Mai sarvamidam proktam. Yes, I am beyond all of this. I am above all of this. Yes, Sachin Prabhu.
Lord has so many opulences. One more, he's the fastest runner as well.
He's the fastest runner. One more opulence of the Lord. Exactly. Very nice. Yeah.
He's a magician. He's a great magical. We can say, like, we see this movies, horror movies. The person he's here, there, everywhere we see. So the Lord is like that.
Exactly. Hare Krishna. Okay, fantastic. If there are no other comments, then let's close for the day. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantraha Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva, Tomeva Mata cha Pita Tomeva, Tomeva Bandhush cha Sakha Tomeva, Tomeva Vidya Dravinam Tomeva, Tomeva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranataha Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Nama. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govinda Namo Namah. Vasudeva Vasudam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayoginyadhishwari Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patim Me Kurute Namaha. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama Dasoham Krishna Tavasmi. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama Dasoham Krishna Tavasmi. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama Dasoham Krishna Tavasmi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Isopanisad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.